Good evening YouTube and welcome to episode 2 of this micro camper build. So we're building this Citroen Dispatch into a very simple but effective 2-berth camper van. Now in episode 1 we did get all the first fix electrics done, and we also stripped the van out and treated the very small amount of rust that was on the floor, but small amount turns into big amount, so we got that done. So episode 2 we are going to be insulating this van, touching on the very touchy subject of vapor barrier versus no vapor barrier. Which one are we going to use? We're going to find out very shortly. So first things first, we need to get all the materials together and then we can get on with insulating this van. And insulation is very much needed right now because it's about a bajillion degrees outside and this van is awful to work in. It's so hot. Alright, so here is our list of ingredients to insulate this van. The first one is sound deadening. You can get this from lots of manufacturers. This is from Dodomat, but they all do pretty much the same job. Now remember, you only need to use this on flat panels. So your floor is corrugated, it's not needed. Your roof is corrugated, it is not needed. It's only needed in your flat panels, and if you put it anywhere else, you're completely wasting your time. And this is the reason. Corrugated is dead, it cannot vibrate. Open panels, and that's what you're doing. You're taking away that vibration so it doesn't give that effect when driving down the road. This stuff weighs quite a bit. The more you put in, the closer you're going to get to your weight limit on your van. So don't waste it sticking it where you don't need it. The next is recycled plastic bottle insulation. On a small van like this, I recommend using this. It works out much cheaper than using Kingspan. If you was using a large van, like a big panel van, I would use Kingspan because it's nice and easy to slot into the large panels. Insulation tape. This is going to be used for taping up any joints in any of your insulation, kind of working like a vapor barrier to make sure that no moisture gets into your insulation. Silver foil. This is going to be for covering up your recycled plastic bottle insulation. Now, this isn't like rock wool because it's made of plastic, it won't absorb moisture, but it is better to cover it in this as well for that extra layer of insulation and also to stop moisture getting to it. 7mm close cell insulation. This is going to be for the floor. Obviously we don't want to be putting Kingspan and such like on there because we've already got a very short height anyway, so reducing that at all is a bad idea. So we're just going to be lining the floor with 7mm close cell insulation. Now the roof, again, as you can see, look here, we haven't got a very big gap there, you know, to get your boards in, so we've only got a small amount of insulation to get in there. So again, on a bigger van you would use Kingspan, but you can use this, but again that is very thick and much thicker than that. So you could use this 7mm close cell insulation on the roof, but we do have some 20mm. The roof is where you are going to lose the majority of your heat because of course heat rises. So we're going to put the 20mm close cell insulation on the roof just to give us a bit more protection on the roof. For two reasons. One, that's where the sun is going to be hitting and penetrating through the van, and also in the winter when you've got the heating on or your body heat warming the van up, it's going to rise and you want to keep it inside the van. So that's your shopping list of ingredients. Let's see how we're going to bake the cake. So that is my sound deadening installed. Because I've only got, we're going to have windows going in both the fronts, so we need one there and we need one on this panel here, which I haven't done yet, and the reason for that is I'm going to show you how just that piece of sound deadening does the job. You hear that dead sound? And you hear how much longer. And back to the sound deadening. Huge difference. Don't waste your time putting oceans and oceans and oceans of this on because it's not needed. All it's going to do is add weight to your van and push you closer and closer to VOSA pulling you over and giving you a ticket. So the next step is to put our recycled plastic bottle insulation everywhere that it needs to go. Now we're going to be filling these deep crevices behind me here, but we're also going to be filling all these areas here. Now to do that you're going to want something like this or a screwdriver or anything to try and push it down as far as you can, because the aim of the game is to get the insulation all the way through here without trying to pack too much in. You want it all to be filled, but you don't want it to be tightly squashed in. The tighter you squash it, the less airflow you have. The less airflow you have, the less insulation you have. So by ramming more insulation in can actually reduce the insulation value of putting it in there. So you want to try and push it all the way through the best you can using rods, but without actually pushing it and then just pushing more in behind it and more in behind it to force it down, because you're going to get a really thick clump of insulation, which is you don't want. So that's one tool you're going to need for this job, and maybe a longer one as well to get it right down that one. The other tool for this job is great, high temperature spray adhesive, what you're going to use if you're going to be doing the carpeting and such like, because it's really helpful when you want to stick up your insulation to the wall. I'll show you with a small piece here. You can spray a bit on, help if I showed you, and spray a bit on the insulation. So I'm just showing you with a small piece, but now you can stick the insulation to the wall. Obviously you would normally use a large piece, but I can't do that with both hands, and that's just going to help that stay up while you complete the insulation and boarding and everything else that you're going to add on there. And that is one side done with the recycled wool. You should be able to see we've gone all into here, and if you look in all of these little holes here, you should be able to see wool insulation in all of them, where we've managed to push it all the way down. Even in the smaller holes, you can see we've got insulation in all of them. So this is all done out with insulation now. So all we need to do now is cover the whole thing with silver foil. So as you can see, we've covered it all. Now on here, if you're going to be carpeting, what you really need to do is use spray adhesive, and this will give you a nice tight bond, not just sticking it in two places. So then you can carpet over that and it'll be stuck nice and firm. Make sure all gaps are taped up. Anywhere where you've got a gap, all taped up. And now we've finished all that, we just need to repeat that on the other side and do the roof, then do the floor. Right, so now with both of these walls done, and we've gone all the way up and over the top here, this is particularly tricky because you need to get this out and then back in again, and when you covered all the holes up, which is an absolute nightmare. You're gonna have to do it again if you carpet, but hey ho, it's got to be done. The next step is to focus on the doors. So every door has two panels. We need to strip those panels off, and I'm going to show you what insulation fits nicely behind each of those panels. So I'll get those taken off with the screwdriver and see you back then. So as you can see from the back door, we have quite a deep recess in the bottom here. So this is going to be filled with the recycled wool insulation and then covered with a layer of silver foil. This top section, unless you're going to be boarding this entire van out and using that entire recess, which we are not for this particular build, you're going to have to put a really thin layer of insulation. Now we're going to try and use the 7mm close cell close cell insulation, because that's going to give us a bit more insulation value than just the silver foil. But if we can't fit that in, then we're going to have to revert to silver foil to fit that, for that panel to go back in tight. So unfortunately the 7mm close cell was too thick to get that board back on, so we've gone just for foil on there. And then what you need to do is make sure when you're stuffing this in here, you're pushing it right up to the top, and you'll be able to see through all of these holes that I've managed to push it all the way up to get as much insulation into that door and covering the whole thing. Now we can just put another layer of this around here, and that door's finished. And then all we need to do is repeat that step with that door, and also the bottom of both of the side loading doors. We're not going to do the top because at a later date we are going to be adding in some windows there, so there'd be no point in actually insulating the top there because there's going to be a big hole cut in that one and also that one. So just doing the doors, and I thought I'd share this little trick with you that has made this so much easier, and that is using our spray adhesive. Spray the door where you want it to stick, spray the back of this, and then just stick the foil to the door, smooth it out nice and easy. It don't move, it don't slip, and then you can literally just trim around where you want to trim with your knife, and you get an absolutely perfect finish like so. So that is all the walls and doors now finished. So the next job is to attack this ceiling. As I said before, we're going to be using this 20mm close cell insulation to give us as much insulation value on that ceiling as we can, because that is where you're going to lose all your heat from. Once we've done those panels out, we're going to tape up any excess with foil and also trim all the way around these edges to make sure everything is covered. So now with all that 20mm insulation stuck into these recessed parts, all we need to do is put foil over the tops of these, and that is made super easy again by using spray adhesive. By spraying the panel there and then spraying the piece of foil like that, made that easy. I'm hoping I'll be able to do it with one hand. Stuck. There we go. And now all we need to do is tape up the joints, add another piece on that side, and it's as simple as that. Anywhere where you've got something that's really hard to hold up and tape at the same time, just stick it up with a bit of spray adhesive. It's not even a permanent fix, it's just there while you get it taped up and the roof up. So that is the roof finished, and it's really starting to look like a time machine now. Now, one thing extra I've done on the roof is I've just added some foil going diagonally here and glued and taped it, because we are in a later date, we're going to be, these harder to do areas, we're going to be carpeting them. Now the whole van's not going to be carpeted, but we are going to be carpeting those hard to do areas. So this is just going to give us a nice flat surface to carpet to and add a bit more insulation. So the next job is the floor. We've got a few more top tips for that. We'll get this done and we're ready to go. So before you start your floor, you're going to have made a whole lot of mess doing this insulation. It's the messiest job on the camper van calendar. All the tape and the bits and cut off and glue, and it makes a mess. So make sure you get your floor nice and clean so you get a nice adhesion. Now this stuff, peeling this paper off is a pain, so bear with it. Once you've done that, you're going to need to lay it out on the floor. We've got a piece here, and you've got these ridges in the floor, so try and get it stuck down, so really firmly push it down into all the ridges. Like so. You should be able to see all the ridges popping through quite easily. And then just basically do that for the entire floor. If you have got pieces, it's fine to use lots of bits as long as you tape every single joint up. So obviously it's nicer to use one huge piece and not have to do any taping. But if you've got some bits and leftovers, you can do this in bits as long as you tape every single joint up. So another tip when taping up and using this foil tape, what I used to do was pull out exactly what I needed and then rip it off and then use that section. But that meant every single time it was fathoming around trying to get the edge up. So what I do now is leave it attached. Stick the tape down, run it out, and then when I get to the end of my run, I rip this, and then this, and that means I can just pull at that easy peasy next time. And there we are, sports fans, a fully insulated time machine. So we'll go through it all quickly just to make sure you can see exactly what we've done. As I say, make sure you've got every single piece of bare metal covered all the way down all these pillars, all taped in, all the wires still on shore so we can get to them. Should be no gaps in it whatsoever. So wires showing, ready for attaching things to. And if it looks something like this, then you're probably doing your job pretty well. I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you have, please consider subscribing to the channel. We do release camper van related content every Tuesday evening at 8 PM and also go live for Lee's Live Lounge, where we just waffle about the general crap we've all been getting up to that week. And that is every Thursday at 8 PM. What stage in your van build are you? I'd love to hear what people are doing. In next week's video, we are going to be doing the carpet lining to certain parts of this van, but it's a bit of a twist and a bit different to how we've done in previous videos. So make sure you stay tuned for that. So remember, if in doubt, get the Sikaflex out, and we'll see you next Tuesday.